Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming. Welcome to Creative Mind, Katona Museum Artists Association program. Our program leadership in the Artists Association are Giselle Landers, say hi, and Trisha Caracappa in the back over here. So they helped put together this event for tonight as part of our series. And we have this evening, we're excited to have Gia Miller and Justin Negard from Connect 2 Northern Westchester. They're going to do something a little bit more creative tonight. But they'll be sharing their journey of building a community-driven magazine, exploring storytelling, design, and the power of local connections. So we appreciate them taking the time to speak with us and share their story. I think Gia Miller is going to talk about the story behind their interviewing process for tonight.
Hi, everyone. So either because we are insane or we like a good challenge or both, we decided to give you a peek into what it's like to experience us and how we work together, what our dynamic is, by interviewing each other. We added an extra challenge of not sharing our questions with each other ahead of the interview, because typically as a journalist, that's not what you do. Otherwise, the answers are very canned and formed, and it's not very interesting. That posed a unique challenge because we also want this to flow. We don't want to one of us ask a question about a certain topic and then the other one jump to a completely different topic and it be very choppy. So I think we spent at least 5 hours discussing while not discussing our questions with each other to make sure they were somewhat aligned.
I changed all mine at the last minute.
Thanks.
It's mostly about foosball.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I have like one answer and it's no. So we'll see if it works, and if it doesn't, well, we tried something new and different, and if it does, then we're awesome. We're gonna start with one of my favorite things to do, which is a rapid word fire association. So I'm going to read a word or 2 words to Justin, he'll respond, and then he'll do the same to me. It'll be also interesting to see if we have some of the same words. Here we go.
I'm nervous.
All right, ready?
I'm nervous. I'm ready.
Our lab.
The magazine.
Deadlines.
Ugh.
My Zoom room.
Your Zoom room. Second home.
Local artists.
Amazing.
2 a.m.
My third home.
Free time.
Question mark.
Tall mocha.
Our drink.
Katona Connect.
Oh man. OG.
Mr. Magazine.
Mr. Magazine. Cool name.
Folio.
Oh, my next tattoo.
InDesign 2025.
Backup.
Oh, he dead.
Oh, he not dead.
Okay. Popular.
No escape.
Mailbox.
I'll check.
Social media.
I'm old.
Lunch.
Question mark.
7100FE.
Oh, shit. Excuse me. That's the hex number of our official purple.
Wildly brilliant.
That's our slogan.
Your turn.
My turn. Okay. We had one match. I hope this isn't too meta for everyone. First annual.
Not a thing.
Third annual.
A thing.
That's a Gia thing.
It's a rule, by the way.
Spreadsheets.
Love them and hate them?
Curly quotes.
Absolutely.
Fact checking.
Necessary.
Sales.
Also necessary.
Church and state.
Necessary again.
And the obvious follow-up, pickleball.
No.
Goats.
Interesting interviews.
Fair. Taza.
Our third home.
Fair.
Virtual office? Real office?
Real office.
Yeah.
Word count.
What was that? Word count?
Word count.
Something to ignore.
Oh boy. Popular.
I'll just add, this song has been like haunting us. People keep singing it to us, or we keep hearing it play places.
Every interview we've had lately has ended with the interviewee singing popular.
Not by our request, it just
Yeah.
happens.
It's our promise tonight to not do that to you.
Yes.
Last one. What's your deal? Anyway.
I will ask that question to someone one day.
All right. So I'm sure none of that made sense to any of you guys, maybe one or two. So we started off strong. But we're going to just jump into our creative portion here. I'll start with the first question for Gia. Are you ready?
Yes,
Okay.
I am.
All right.
Oh, actually, before you go, one of the other things we did was, at least I am, and I think you are too, asking questions that I don't know the answer to. So it's not like I expect him to answer a certain way. I'm actually genuinely curious, and I think that was your
Yeah.
strategy as well.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, later on, if you guys want to ask a question or two that we didn't touch on, feel
Yeah.
free. All right, so question number one. What's your social security number?
Fourth.
Now, all right. This is genuinely my question. Was Gia the journalist born or built? Have you always been curious about people and their stories, or was it built into you through experiencing?
Wow. I don't know. I mean, I came to journalism kind of by chance. I was very, very fortunate that at my high school in New Orleans, we had this journalism program, and we had this incredible journalism teacher. I don't know what made me want to apply to the program, but I did, and 2 sophomores get in every year, and I was one of them, and I fell in love with it. So I guess, I don't know, was it born or?
Born or built?
Both, maybe?
Yeah.
I mean, I had to learn how to be a journalist, but I guess there was always something in me that pushed me to apply.
Yeah, I mean, because anywhere we go, Gia can meet like the hot dog vendor, and she'll have like 35 deep questions about him.
Yeah.
So that
All right.
occurred to me.
My turn.
Go.
Okay, so I'm lucky because I get to see the magazine at every stage, from the initial design of each article to the much anticipated and secretive cover. But the one thing I don't see is what goes on in your mind before the first stroke of the digital paintbrush on the screen. So what's your initial step when designing a layout?
Layout. I typically am thinking about the cover first, and I'm usually, like I'm thinking about the music issue. I've been thinking about the art and design issue we're doing later in the year. And I kind of have a feel for, like, does anyone think like a letter or a number has like a, let's say like a gender or personality, right? So like I kind of go that way with the magazines we're putting out. So I know in advance kind of how I want that to feel, sort of. And then from there, if I know that the food issue is gonna have like some lemon tree cubism thing going on, that sort of feeds into the next step and the next step. And I don't want each article to feel similar to the last one. It's important to me. I want you to open the magazine and each layout feels different, distinctly different from the previous ones. I've been yelled at sometimes by people on the street about this, but I want it to feel very diverse and hopefully cultured. And I also want to balance the ages a little bit too. So like in our January, February, I had the Super Mario Pixel thing. And then the next article over, 2 articles technically, page 25. Anyway, was a Van Gogh painting from the National Gallery. But that's also on purpose because I want someone young to be exposed to Van Gogh, and I want a Van Gogh person to shut up and look at Super Mario a little bit too. So that's kind of the mindset, as long as it feels different. There's more to it, but that's a start. Yeah. So I consider myself to be a decent writer, but what impresses me about you and your ability to write is that you can write about anything in a passionate way, and that's not something I can...
Except for sports.
I think you'd pull it off. That's not something I can do, and I'm always impressed by your ability to do this. So how hard is it for you to write about something that you're not interested in, or is it possible?
Well, I would say sports is probably not possible for me because I just really don't care, but I find almost everything else interesting. So it's not hard. I can kind of always find the interesting in something. So it's just finding what that is and figuring out how to tell it and where to bring it in to a story.
Yeah, makes sense. It's kind of how I do design work too.
I don't know, I think almost, I don't know that I've ever met a person who doesn't have something interesting, like one interesting quality. Everybody is interesting in some way, most things are interesting in some way. So to me, it makes it easy.
Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson? Okay. All right. One thing I admire about you is that you have many design heroes, and they range from artists during the Renaissance to graphic designer Milton Glaser. So with all these icons, who or where do you turn when you have designer's block, if that's a thing? I know there's writer's block. Or all your ideas that you've tried have failed?
I don't really think it is a thing. I mean, like, Richard and I were talking about this a little bit the other day. Sometimes things might stall out a little bit, but I think sometimes you just have to fight your way through it. It's not really a block. Like, it may be a wall, but there's holes and cracks in the wall, and so like you can kind of find where, and you can break through it a little bit. You just have to sit down and do it. But yeah, I mean, if I'm really jammed up, I have big books of art history. I'll go through and try to find something that I can tap into, like a stained glass window from, the Renaissance or whatever.
Don't tap too hard.
Huh? Yeah, and I do have design heroes, and I've gotten to meet a few of them. But since I'm really cool, most of them are like 100 years old and not alive anymore. And so I'll turn to those guys as well. When I want to like give a middle finger to people, George Lois was really cool. But there's a bunch of middle fingers.
So you don't have, I mean, as a writer, and I feel like everybody's probably heard the term writer's block, where you stare at a blank page and the cursor is blinking and you're like, I don't know where to start. It's a bit easier, I think, as a journalist because there's content, so you can always pull and start somewhere, but figuring out how to form it. You don't have that as a designer where there's just like a blank InDesign file and it's laughing at you and taunting you and you can't even think of like a color to splash on the page?
No, I'll explore a lot of stuff. For the Connect to the Best issue we did, you helped me because I created this whole cover and I was like really proud of it. But it was, I don't want to get into anything else here, but it was like, there was a little bit of an undertone there that I wanted like a bullet anyway. But I realized that I was getting distracted, which is not good. So I kind of went back to the drawing board and I ended up looking up, again, I had a feeling for what I wanted it to be. So I started looking up old Italian travel posters from like the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and kind of went from there. But sometimes, like, the word brainstorm is funny because like it can help, but sometimes you'll begin and you'll say, I'm going to paint a bowl of raspberries, and then you made a little curve and you're like, yeah, and then you're done and it's a squirrel. Like you just go in a direction, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Sure.
This is a two-part question. The magazine, I wrote forced. That sounds rough. But I'm going to say, the magazine has forced you to hire and manage other writers. Has that been challenging? Have you enjoyed it? This may be a bad follow-up to our conversation 20 minutes ago.
Right.
Have you enjoyed it? And the second part to this is more important to me, which is how do you balance editing a writer while still keeping their voice? Yeah.
Have I enjoyed the management part? Yes and no. I really don't want my name on every article. I want my name on as few articles as possible because I think that I don't represent the community. A lot of people represent the community. So in that respect, yes. And I've enjoyed kind of meeting some of the writers in our community. I don't, what he was referencing earlier, I decided I'm going to try to look for a higher caliber of writers that have written more national and not as much local, because some of the writers that I work with take a lot of effort to get their articles to a place where I'm satisfied. I'm very picky. And at that point, I could have really written it myself. But again, I don't want my byline on everything. So of the few that I hired for this issue, one of them promised me that, you know, she's a pro, she's been doing this for 30 years, and she would turn in something that's so clean and I wouldn't have to touch it, and that was not the case. I had to send back a draft with a ton of questions. There were all these holes in it. And she sent me the next draft. She's like, I'm finished. And I open it, and the first sentence is grammatically incorrect. And that's frustrating. Don't promise me that if you're not going to deliver that. So yeah, yes and no. And then how do I keep people's voice? You know, I do it in two ways. One is when I edit, I may write the concept of something I think should go there, and then I'll put a note and I'll say, please rewrite this in your own voice, or please finish this thought, you know, or I'll say, like, I think something like this should go here, and just kind of describe it, and then that way they get to put their voice in. And I don't know, maybe I have multiple personalities. I am kind of able to write if it's already their voice. I'm able to throw something in usually that is mostly in their voice. And then again, I'll always say, like, if this doesn't sound like you, feel free to rewrite. No,
Yeah.
if you wouldn't say this.
She does say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. My next question. There's a little bit of, I think Monique had mentioned that we would talk about the
Yeah.
process of the magazine.
You have paragraphs.
Well, but I also made it really big so I didn't have to put on glasses. Yours is tiny. I couldn't read it. So you're getting a little bit of history with this one. All right. In our very first health issue, we titled our ad, Katona Connect Presents Fun with AI. We asked several different AI models to write an ad for us, and they ranged from us being a transportation service to outright refusal to write an ad. There were only 2 AIs that got it right, and their ad copy was incredibly mediocre. But it was also where we first received Folio, who is our mascot. Folio means the little words at the bottom of a page that say either the name of the publication or the issue, like March, April 2025, and have the page number. That's what a folio is. Fast forward to 1 year later, which was kind of around this time last year, and you really began exploring AI more regularly and leading us down this AI rabbit hole that we've gone into. Justin really started using ChatGPT, and I was hesitant. I watched him for a few weeks, and then I finally jumped in with Perplexity, who some of you may know I've nicknamed Ms. P, because it's shorter and cuter. So now we have AI contests where we have like a thought or a question, and we'll just both open our AIs and see who answers it better or more correctly. But
Calm down. We are that cool.
yeah. My whole background behind this is to ask you this question, which is, do you think AI has made you more creative or less creative?
It just frees up my time to work on the things I like.
So more creative.
Yeah, more creative in a sense. Yeah, or you know, you'll put in a prompt and it'll give you like 6 different ideas, and maybe that'll kind of send you in a certain direction. But it doesn't do anything creative very well. Folio is evidence of that. I used DALL-E and I typed like robot, and Folio is demented. If you look real close, there's problems. So
It's like a purple square robot.
yeah,
It
spaghetti hands.
hides in every issue.
Nobody knows this. He does.
So
It's like a Where's Waldo.
yeah, you should look
Yeah.
for him. Sometimes he's a little more obvious than others.
Yeah, I mean, look, AI is here to stay, so you may as well just make the best of it. It's a tool like anything else. If you use it to be lazy, then you will be lazy, and your brain will get weaker, and won't be able to do so many brain push-ups. So just use it for good stuff. Next question. What?
Why are you laughing? What did we do? We're that funny.
Let's see. All right. So, when do you know when a story is really complete? And by that I mean not only are there so many different sources you could talk to, but there's even fun and quirky parts of a story that kind of playing back to the word count. There's an eternal struggle between design and word count that we're always fighting. But not fighting, but in a good way. So when do you know it's complete, and how do you balance the fun and quirky parts of a story with the essential pieces that you need to tell the story?
When I'm like 1,000 words over word count,
That's when you begin to slow
that's when it's complete.
down. Yeah.
I don't know, it's hard. There's a journalism expression called either kill your darlings or kill your babies. And it means that you've written like a paragraph or words and you have to cut it. And I think it's after I've done that. So I'll write way over word count. And then I'll go back and I'll do my best to cull out whatever maybe isn't as essential.
I mean, it works out.
Yeah,
but
I mean, when I'm
it's a lot.
interviewing, I have to stop myself because I could really like ask so many questions and interview so many people. The research part too is I will spend, for every article you read that I've written, I have probably spent at least 5 to 10 hours researching, probably before I ever interview a single soul. And if not, while I'm writing it, like if there's anything is scientifically based, I will go find 5 research studies that confirm that before I put it in, before I put in one sentence.
I'm going to break the rules and ask my next question because you have a great interview style that is very engaging and thorough, but also unique. What is your approach towards interviewing someone, and how do you balance telling their story properly while making it feel fresh? Essentially, how are you good at not repeating questions other people have asked?
So, well, part of that is research, right? I mean, it depends on the person. So, if I'm interviewing someone who's been well interviewed, I will read a lot of their interviews because I don't want to repeat. And sometimes there'll be a little piece in that interview that will then like spark my interest. Like maybe there's a comment they made and I then want to ask more questions about that. Sneak peek, Will Shorts, who's the New York Times crossword puzzle editor, is in our next issue. And there's a part of his life story that happened about a year ago that was moderately widely covered. And so instead of asking him a bunch of questions about it, I said, this was covered in this place, in this place, in this place. Which one is the most accurate for me to go look and pull information from? Because I didn't want to re-ask him.
She is legit. I mean, Will Short's a great example. For example, other New York Times writers, I've been live present, and they've complimented her thoughtful, thorough, professional interview.
I also, thanks. I also don't want to tell the boring story. The surface story that you get when you meet someone for the first time and you're in polite conversation, anybody can kind of get that story out of somebody. I want to tell the story that you may not know about your friend who you've hung out with for 5 years. Like there's this little side twist to it. To me, that's much more interesting for me, but also I think the beauty of a local magazine, right, on a national level, unless they're famous, you probably don't care, and even then, I don't care. But locally, like, you get to meet these people, and now you know kind of some interesting, cool stuff about them. So, yeah, I don't know, I just do it.
That's a mic drop. Badass.
It's just what I do.
I just do it. I'll leave. Yeah.
Okay. So Justin used to tell clients that he would do anything but video for them. These days, however, you don't just do video.
Boing, boing.
You have 2 to 3 cameras, often an assistant, lights, wireless microphones, etc. He dove in, and you've set like a very high bar for yourself. I don't know if it began with our first little fun, simple video on your phone at the cubicle, but what changed? What made you decide to not just learn, but master video?
I don't know, it became fun. It's like anything, you know, if you learn to play pickleball,
No.
you'll one day. Yeah, it's just anything. It's just another way of expressing ourselves creatively. So it opened up a new dimension of time also. It's not just a static image. So now you can do something creative or visually appealing over a long, you know, that sort of thing. And then it was, I think, also to have a local publication. The magazine is popular thanks to all of you and other people, and God bless. But I don't think it's going to work either way. You need to have everything. So video is important, and I just thought it would be cool to start making trailers for all the issues we put out. And then when we changed our name, I figured out how to do like explosion effects. So I had a video where like our name exploded in fire, and it's just fun. It's just fun. That's it. The reason we're doing any of this is just because it's fun for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't sleep. But
Yeah.
now we have like design assistants who can animate the Super Mario design. One of our assistants animated it. So there's like a whole little video of it being animated.
Yeah.
And
It's
Aeneas
awesome.
is animating Folio.
Is he? Yeah, that's right. I got to check in on him. I may text him during the evening.
I get to do a double question now. Because
Fire
this
away.
kind of goes into the next one. It's also about video. So
Okay.
this afternoon, we filmed the final interview for the Rye Art Center appeal video for their annual gala. This person was this amazing 95-year-old. How old was he?
Is he that old?
I think so.
Oh, my God.
Older gentleman who picked up a paintbrush for the first time about 10 years ago. And his work is beautiful, and he really just makes it and gifts it to people.
Bruce.
His name is Bruce. For this project, so we interviewed 2 other people, a family of 4. You captured B-roll of students in molding clay, someone playing piano, you flew your drone outside. I mean, it's like a production, what he does. And some of it's
Thanks.
planned, right? Like interviews, we plan ahead. Some of it's on the spot. And by the way, in between last Tuesday and this Tuesday filming there, you also filmed the American Crossword Puzzle Tournament on Sunday. And yesterday you were at Magazzino interviewing an Italian artist.
Lucio Pazzi.
So
Right?
when you're filming, especially when it's like the spur of the moment type things, do you in your head have like an idea of what will and won't go in, especially with the videos that we have to keep to like 3 to 5 minutes? Do you know what's going to happen at the end? Do you know what it's going to look like?
Not really. Sometimes it'll be like an obvious thing, but no, it's the same thing as like working on a cover or starting to draw that line or whatever, and you don't really know where it's going to go. I know the basics. I know what the skeleton should basically be. So the Rye Art Center, we interviewed a bunch of people. I know that's going to be there. I know it's going to be spaced throughout. The Crossword Puzzle Tournament, super cool. So we interviewed a bunch of people there with like crossword puzzle. One woman had at home a Diane von Furstenberg crossword puzzle dress that she like got hammered one night and designed accidentally.
Diane?
Yeah.
And designed it poorly. Like it wasn't designed like a crossword puzzle is supposed to be designed.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's rules. They need to be parallel and mirrored. Anyway, I don't know what's going to happen there. I know there's going to be some funny interviews in between, and then there's going to be some footage like at the, you didn't see this yet, but at the Crossword Puzzle Tournament, I did this thing where they were handing out awards, and I ran outside the hotel, and I filmed from the parking lot with an ongoing, like, Spike Lee-esque, like just ongoing film through the hotel. I entered the ballroom. People were like, why is this creep going up on the stage? I just went up on the stage, had the phone the whole time, filmed Will Shortz handing an award to somebody, and out I went. And like, I think that'll probably be the intro to that video because it's cool and fun. It also sums everything up immediately. But you just start playing around and something seems cool and you go with it.
All right, your
Sorry.
turn.
All right.
Are we moving on to the business section?
Yeah, I guess so. This one's businessy. It's kind of lame.
Don't do lame.
Don't do
Make
lame.
it cool. Come on the spot. Let's go.
All right, I'm gonna wrap this one. Yo. All right, let's talk about surprises. It's a generic question, so my apologies. What have been your happiest surprises starting this magazine and your biggest challenges that you weren't expecting?
Oh, okay. I think the happiest surprises is kind of an easy one. Am I ringing? I don't even know who that is. James, somebody. All right, anyway. When we were first coming up with what would be kind of the standard for each issue, what types of stories we would tell, and we surveyed a bunch of people. I don't know if we ever discussed this, but I know at least in my mind, I thought, I want there to be one story for everybody. Anybody who opens the magazine, maybe they don't read everything, or maybe they don't even read most of it, but there's one thing that they like. And we worked hard, I think, to kind of create different regular front of book, which are the articles in the front of the magazine, front of book pieces that had a good variety, and even the feature section. And I think the biggest surprise is when people tell me that they read the magazine cover to cover. I always ask them why. And I mean it. I don't, besides this, I don't read any magazine cover to cover. I read what I like, and I don't read what I don't like. And it's still very shocking to me.
It's a cry for help.
Yeah, maybe. The number of people who tell me they read every issue cover to cover. That's surprising. What was the other part?
Can I borrow $50?
No.
The
Only have 5.
other part, that's right. The biggest challenges that you weren't planning for.
How much time this would all take.
Yeah.
I was very naive about that. I think I was also naive about what it would be like working with you, because you are like the one person on the planet who loves my crazy ideas and vice versa. And therefore, when one of us comes up with something that no one should say yes to, the other one says yes to, and then we do it. And then that just takes up even more time. Video, a podcast we now have, like everything, right? It's very time consuming.
Yeah, but it's fun. And it's crazy and it's fun, and you only live once.
Okay, my turn. So, in my opinion, one of the great things about working with you is how we inspire each other to always do our best work. We both love a good challenge, and we aren't okay with mediocrity. But that all starts with a good brainstorm. So what do you enjoy most about our brainstorms?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I get nervous because we'll just say yes to all these ideas. So we've had ideas over the years where it's like, it's going to be our anniversary. We should celebrate by having like a balloon. And it's like, no, well, what if we started putting hot air balloons around all the towns at night? And what if this and what if that? And we always joke that, like, you say, I don't want to get arrested. I'm like, yeah, I'll get arrested. But that sort of thing. But
I also don't want to die. Those are my 2 rules.
I shall design.
Don't get arrested, and it doesn't kill me.
I will design a beautiful cover if that were to happen.
Okay, thanks. With no words inside.
just a candle.
But all the words would be gone. What would you do?
Forget it. You don't want the magazine that I made. It'd just be like
pretty pictures.
Saturday morning cartoon vomited on the page. What was the question? Yeah.
Our brainstorms.
Yeah, it's a similar compliment. Gia says yes to a lot of crazy, stupid, fun, wild ideas, and a more conservative person would say, no, that's dumb, let's move on. And then I'd shake them and say, no, it's going to be great. Let's start flying a drone over the thing with a flamethrower. And
Yeah.
that wouldn't be good. Yeah. All right. This is, you already answered this. Sorry, it's asking about. All right, well, I'll do, there's a second part. So what's the most annoying thing about working with me? The other one was like, what's the
What's the best thing about working with you?
But
Yeah,
that
well,
seems
that's,
obnoxious now.
you say yes to.
Yeah, all right, so what's the most annoying
Annoying
thing about
thing.
working with me?
I mean, I don't really get annoyed with you. Well, okay, can I slightly rephrase your question?
Sure.
The most annoying thing about what we do
Sure.
is, well, there's two, but like the billing invoicing,
Oh.
it's annoying. It's time consuming and annoying.
Yeah.
And we both hate it, and so we split it up. Like 1 month I do it, 1 month you do it. There was another part. Oh, selling ads.
Selling ads, yeah. And it's like, even before the magazine, when I was a designer on my own and so forth, but you'd always get people to go up and say like, oh, cool, working for yourself, that must be fun. Like I'm shaking margaritas at 2 p.m. and stuff. And it's like, yeah, be prepared to
Pouring your 10th cup of coffee.
be creative from like 1:15 in the morning to like 2:15. And then the rest of the day, you're like figuring out why the logo isn't showing up in the header of your invoice the way you want it to. It's just minutia, right? And like anyone with a small business knows that. So this is a horrible thing. So now when people say like, hey, I'm thinking of my dear, lovely Aeneas, he was saying like, oh, it'd be great. I'm gonna one day, just like you, he wants to be a graphic designer and he wants to start his blah blah blah. And I told him, he's like, what's your advice? I'm like, just be prepared to like not know true anxiety and pain, and then like continue. It's like being stung by bees and walking closer to the hive. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So that was my pep talk. And he kept going.
Because he's a creative.
Yeah.
So my question is somewhat similar. Obviously, I'm female and he's male, and a lot of really, great dynamic duos that you think of throughout history are the same gender. And although we've never really let our gender dictate anything, our job descriptions, any of that, we do talk about our differences sometimes, especially when it comes to previously mentioned ad sales. There are some people where like the man is just gonna connect with them better.
Oh yeah. I'll get like Tony Gavone that'll say like, hey, who's the lady? And then they'll want to talk to me the whole
And just
time.
ignore me.
Yeah.
I'm the one who has been trying to bring them in for like 3 months and giving them all this information. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think I may have answered your question that I'm about to ask you, but what have you learned or been surprised about by having a female business partner?
God. That's a tricky question to answer. You start playing cheesy piano music now. I really never cared at all. I don't care about that stuff. Gotta fix that language. I really don't care about that stuff. But what surprised me is that other people have, like those stories, for
Yeah.
example. And we would go. I don't know if you ever noticed, like even today, aforementioned nice man Bruce. He's an old, he's like 112. So he sees the world differently. But I can tell when he's talking to us, he's talking to me. And he's like, hey, how's the magazine? That's great. And I see Gia just like blurry over here. And what
Yet I asked him all the questions.
you asked all the questions. Yeah. I like carried a bag. But I will try to like look at you when that happens. I will try to like, hey, well, when we're working together, and he's like, yeah. So that happens. That's always a surprise. That's been a part of, living, is realizing that not everybody thinks the way you do about certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at this point, I say this politely. I say this complimentary. I'm surrounded by women.
You are. He's really like, well, besides Aeneas, right? He's kind of the only guy in our whole
Yeah.
operation. with one assistant.
But they're awesome. I mean, Julia's filming today. She's just awesome. You know, she sent some work. It was really good. Anyway, it's cool.
I only have one more.
Next question.
I only have one more.
Oh, yeah, good. I guess I do too. I got two silly ones. I'm going to hit them both, all right?
Cool.
You say you don't want to write a book, but do you think there could be one at the end of this insanity? And if so, what would the title be?
Well, no, there wouldn't be. Because I don't ever want to write a book. I don't have the patience to work on one story for like 2 years. 1 year, 2 years. My friends who have written books, I think it's insane. So it'd be no.
It'd be no.
No. And the book would
All
be
right.
blank.
Untitled. Okay. And I have to ask you this because
Yeah.
you ask everybody, what is your dream?
What is my dream? I always say I'm living the dream I never knew I had, because if anyone ever asked me if I wanted to start my own magazine, I would say I'm not crazy. And here I am. I don't know. I think now my dream is our 10-year plan.
Yeah.
Just build a successful media company that kind of reimagines what a media company could be. And we have some wild and crazy ideas, so of course, so stay tuned. What's your dream? You asked the question, so did you think of how you would answer it?
I want to swim in a big swimming pool of Cocoa Puffs. No, my dream is, I don't know, my dream, those designers that I really admire, it would be cool at the end of my life if I was one of those guys and I could inspire other creative people. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, here's my last question. I always say that you're nicer than me, and you often laugh when I say that. So I want to know why, and I want to know when you are meaner than me.
Oh, well, my wife's in the back.
Mary Beth.
No, she has, I'm not gonna say that I'm Rambo and I'm burning down the house or something, but my family's like very contradictory. So my father's from Norway and my mother's Italian. And so my father's like very jokey and very stoic. And my mom is not. She's funny, but she's a wise ass and like vicious sometimes. Right, Marybeth? And so,
By the way, she's all the way in the back so you can't see, but she didn't react. She was very polite.
No, she's awesome, but my mom is a badass, and she'll burn the house down herself if need be. There are stories. And so I'm very split in that way. I think Malcolm X said anger is a gift, and so I use it when it's necessary. It's a toolbox. But like, if I was angry with you, we would have printed one issue, and like that would have been that.
Yeah, but when are you meaner than I am? I feel like I'm always I'm the mean one. The tough one?
Nah, we have our moments. There are some times that I'm in the wrong mood and someone says
not to me, I'm saying like in general.
Oh, I don't know, stay tuned.
You'll be meaner than me one day?
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see. So to date, I get to be the mean one? Not to you, just in general.
Yeah, when the time
I'll wear that title.
It's a tool when the time comes. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I go into the toolbox and I take it out.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I'm done too. So
Did it work? Did it flow?
it was okay? Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Magic.
Questions? You want me to pass it on the mic?
Yeah. Where's that extra
Yeah.
mic? Where'd that go?
Use mine.
All right.
Any questions, folks?
Ask us questions, please.
How did you meet? How did you connect?
Oh God.
It's all my husband's fault, actually. What was it, like 2018? Before that.
I was going through hard times and I was squeegeeing on the side of the FDR drive and Mark pulled up.
He's generous.
He let me do the side windows too, which is pretty cool. Not everybody does that.
The other answer is I'm his parole officer.
That's the other one.
The real answer is my husband needed a website for his business, and I posted on, I think it was Katona Parents at that point. I changed names so many times. Like 4 people responded, and 3 of them used Squarespace. And I'm like, I can use Squarespace. That's not what I wanted. I wanted someone who could actually build a website from scratch, and he was it. And it was good. The work he showed us was good, and so we hired him. And he built the website and I wrote it, and then we kept in touch. I mean, we'd pass jobs back and forth. Like if I was working with a client and they needed a web designer, I tossed it his way, vice versa. That's the very romantic story of how we met.
And then the story I've told a bunch of million trillion times is when the pandemic started, she knew her skills and I knew my skills, and so we reached out to each other and we were thinking, this is what's going on right now, what can we do? And so like overnight I built this quick website, katonaconnect.com, and black Helvetica font to match the Metro North, Massimo Vignelli. And anyway, so we did that, and it was informational, and then we got bored of that, and how long are we going to talk about school closings? So we turned it into a magazine.
Yeah, I mean, the website originally was a way to keep our community connected to the local businesses, because you couldn't find anything on the Facebook pages, right? There were like 30 posts a minute, and you never knew who was open, who was closed, what their hours were, is it takeout, is it delivery? And so it's like, what if we had a place where anyone could just go and find the information they needed, right? And businesses could just go in and update their hours. And then we did like a jobs page, people who needed jobs. And then and it was like old school bulletin board. I mean, it was bare bones. It was utilitarian, right? Not to be beautiful, but to serve the community.
Yeah.
We had the I need, I want, like whoever needed toilet paper could be like, please drop toilet paper off at my house. That's kind of how, and then I started telling stories after so many mask mandate posts and school closings and whatever, I would like call up a business.
Well, I remember we'd go to a place like Kellogg and Lawrence or something, and they would say
I call
like,
them up, yeah.
yeah, and they would start talking about, their dog was in the Scouts or something, whatever, and then.
Do you want to hear the best? It's actually a Kellogg's and Lawrence story that I got from a business owner during the pandemic. It's kind of creepy, but it's funny. So Diane, when they owned it, she told me this story of how an older woman came in and she needed a tackle box this big. And they said, I don't know if we have one, whatever size it was, right? Like that big. And so they were walking around the store looking at all the tackle boxes, and the woman would put out her arms and doesn't fit. So finally she turned to this woman and she said, may I ask you why you need a box that size? She said, my cat died over the winter, and the ground was too frozen to bury her. So I put her in the freezer, but I put her in the freezer with her tail out. And I don't want to bend her tail in to bury her. So I need a box, whatever it was.
Gretchen's very, like, yep, been there.
This big. And I will never forget that story. So I wrote up that story, but it was a great way to like stay connected to Kellogg's and Lawrence and like hear a funny story that they could have told you in person.
And the funny thing is, at the end of the first issue when we were planning it, we thought like, I hope we have enough information for more issues. And we do.
It's a very long, never-ending list.
Yeah.
Next question.
Anybody? Fry?
Any other questions over here?
Don't be
I have
shy.
a question.
Yeah.
How do you, when you're thinking of your themes and organizing like the projection of the year, do you get like inspired by something that moves a theme along, or do you like come up with a theme that you both are interested in first and then kind of like start digging for, like what's that process like?
Well, we have some set themes. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so every May, June is our health issue. So it coincides. I think if we plan to continue Connect to the Best, and that will be January, February.
Yeah, because everybody agreed on their favorite pizzeria.
Yes.
Now we are going to keep it going.
And we've done like home issue in March, April the past 2 years, but that may or may not continue. Others are, I don't know, I mean, I think they're inspired a little bit. We sit down and brainstorm. We're finishing up our health issue, and then we have the music issue after, and that was inspired just because we loved the first music issue we did several years ago and wanted to do another.
Sometimes we just get bored and we want to write about something new.
Yeah.
You know, we did a money issue because, as you can see by the Rolls Royce we have parked outside, people should come to us for more money advice. But it's an interesting topic. We wanted to try it out. Or people feed ideas. I mean, my son back there somewhere, he was always nagging me too, like, oh, you should do a finance issue. I'm like, as most 10-year-olds want to read. You know, art and design, we're going to be working on that. Music is fun, so just trying something new.
Yeah, sometimes maybe we want to learn about a topic, like, or we want to really be challenged. I think the money issue is challenging, like a
Yeah.
good challenge for us. The tech issue,
Tech issue was cool.
yeah, we learned a lot in order to even come up with what stories we wanted to tell.
Yeah. The education issue I was dreading when we were planning that because
Same.
I thought it would be super boring, to be
Yeah.
honest. And that was one where I'm thinking about the cover, and it's like,
Here, you want-
yeah. I'm thinking about the
yell.
cover, and
Yell.
it's like, is it going to be an apple with a worm or some stupid thing? You know, stock image of like a teacher's desk. So like, I was not looking forward to that. I ended up doing like a sculpture thing, Brancusi. Anyway, but that was a nice surprise. The stories we wrote about and the way we
Yeah.
approached it. So I've learned not to necessarily, and the opposite is true. You know, there may be issues where I really thought it was going to be amazing. And I think all our magazines are good, but they didn't surprise me as much.
Or
So.
the international issue was something you really,
Yeah, the
push
international
for.
issue. Yeah, for reasons not worth going into right now, I just felt like there's a lot of immigrants and international stories in our community, and they should be honored and respected. So that was a big thing. And that's something else that we do too, is every issue we'll try our best. I mean, it's not, you know, the Rainbow Coalition, but we'll try to go through every story and make sure that there's a pretty diverse group of people represented as well, because that's our neighborhood. Does anyone have a
well, hold on, before, I just want to add, if there's a theme that you think would be great for
Exactly.
us, or a story idea, we are only two people and we don't know everybody in the community or everybody's thoughts on what's interesting, so please never hesitate to send us your ideas. You can text us if you have our phone number, you can email the info we get them, it comes right to us.
Anyone have a good theme right now they want to scream?
Yeah, because we have to start thinking about 2026 soon, actually, believe it or not. So think of your ideas. We are doing art and design for November, December. So for this crowd, that is happening.
Yeah.
I have another question over here, Stan.
Hi. So you mentioned that you guys have a lot of creative ideas. How do you manage those ideas when they're like off track from what you're normally doing? And I laugh
We do
because
them.
I'm also creative, and I sincerely want to know, how do you keep track of those kind of off-putting ideas that maybe have like a track of themselves or a life of their own?
We have, I think kind of what you're asking is how do we have an idea randomly, but it's not quite ready yet, and we don't want to forget it?
No,
Yes.
are you
Yeah.
asking that, or are you asking like, what do we do when we have an idea and it doesn't flow with whatever else we're doing?
Maybe both.
You know,
Right.
kind of both.
Yeah.
I think sometimes too, as a creative, it's like the ideas keep coming.
Yeah.
And you kind of grab onto one, right, and then maybe run with it, but then you have all these sub things going on that you don't want to really lose track of.
It's a really nerdy answer, but we just have a lot of spreadsheets and lists.
I was going to say, it's a nerdy question.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of lists, and
Yeah.
Gia's actually been pretty good with that more than me, but we both, at this point, we have categories, and if someone says something nice, we have a list. If someone says something mean, we have a hilarious list. If we have, whatever it is,
Yeah.
we keep track of it. We have a spreadsheet that has upcoming themes for that year, and we'll put little ideas on the corner of those. Yeah, because you'll forget them.
I think sometimes we just do them. Like we come up with a crazy creative idea and we're like, let's do it, and we just do it.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing we're trying, see how good we are at this. I mentioned earlier we have a 10-year plan, and we have like a 10-year plan, a 5-year plan, and we've been working really hard to take that 10-year and then break it down, like what would it look like 5 years, right? The in between, and then what would we do this year to work our way to that next step and the next step. And our goal is to meet once a month and look at the 2025 plan and how are we on track to succeed with, you know, everything we wanted to do this year by the end of the year. And that's where, like, that creative idea, the goal would be to take it and say, how does this fit in with our long-term vision? Does it fit? And if it doesn't, let's hold on to it until we can figure out how to make it fit, or does it become like a new thing that we think would really work into where we see this company growing in the next 10 years?
I will add, though, that sometimes there's an idea and I feel like there's a magical moment and I don't want to lose that. And so it may be something that's more simple than like reinventing something bigger, but I've worked on things that I shouldn't be working on. Like I have to like get paid for stuff and live my life and pay bills, but I'll just be so in the moment to do this really fun thing. So sometimes you just want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patty?
Getting away from the creativity, that's
No.
sort of a very mundane question. Do you sell enough ads to make the magazine profitable?
Well, so we're locking the door now because no one can leave unless they
Open up
contr-
your wallets, shake it all out.
Yeah, we've on a national level, try this again. Some publications had trouble with print, for example. So like Newsweek, for example. But it's, as I've said a million times, right? You can read about Donald Trump on your phone. You don't need to go to the paper and buy a Newsweek and all this, right? So it's different. That's the misconception, but on a local level, local media, local journalism, local publications are actually doing pretty well. So and I think, to be a little braggy, I think we make a really nice magazine, so people have been excited to be a part of it. And I think there's an aesthetic appeal to it as well, like it's a decorative piece, and people like to open it up and see pictures of their local neighborhood. They don't care about seeing a picture of Chuck Schumer, sexy as he is. And so they just want to see their community, and it, hopefully it looks nice too, or we can have, you know, Richard Chandler look on the back of our magazine or something like that. So when they get tired of looking at the cover, they flip it over and it's something else.
Here,
Want to add?
I'm going to give her the real answer.
Oh, okay.
Not the pretty answer. The answer is yes. I don't even know how we did this, but on our very first issue, we broke even. I commend all those businesses who took a chance on a really bad prototype. Really bad.
Yeah, I saw it recently. It was terrible.
I know. Every time I look at it, I'm like, what were we doing?
Yeah.
And we broke even. And by our third issue, we were profitable, meaning like not only could we pay our bills, but we had a little left over. That was my alarm for my intern meeting that I have with my interns every Tuesday evening that we're not clearly doing tonight. But we've grown. We do track, this is a nerdy thing, we track like our sales every issue. And I think with the exception of one issue, we've increased the amount, the bottom line number every issue. And then we just stupidly reinvested instead of paying ourselves a decent wage. But we've been able to hire some assistants, have more writers, pay more photographers, like buy more video equipment, you know, all these things. So yeah, we at this point have not, I mean, we're not putting in our own money, thankfully. But yes, shake out your wallets, please.
Time for one more question.
Okay.
Jen?
One last question. What advice would you give to anybody who would like to be in a creative partnership? Maybe to both of you, what's your best piece of advice?
Wow. I don't know, just accidentally find someone cool to work with.
Find someone who thinks like you.
Yeah,
Right? Like-
I had a lot of landmines that Gia could have stepped on. For me personally, I'll speak for myself for a minute. that she could have stepped on that would have been the end, right? I like cool ideas that I had, and it would be like, ugh, if she doesn't like this, this is probably a bad sign that it's not going to work out. But she's always been really cool. Like things that were important to me, like a cover of a magazine, for example. We you know, it's not like she's completely out of it. Like she gives me her feedback, but she trusts me, so that's a big deal. And she has good taste. So like, if I said, hey, for the education issue, I'm doing a Brancusi sculpture from 19 whatever, she could easily have just said like, no, do the apple on the desk, and then I would go and jump off a cliff. But it hasn't happened. She's trusted me, and it's been cool on that front. Nothing's ever perfect, but I value her intellect, I value her opinion, and usually when she tells me something doesn't work, I curse under my breath and realize she's probably freaking right. And I go back to the drawing board and make something better. I don't know, it's kind of just luck, but you want to feel your way through it, figure out what parameters you're comfortable having someone control.
I also think find someone who doesn't do the exact same thing as you. Like our skill sets complement each other very well. So I'm not stepping on his toes and he's not stepping on my toes, but we give each other good feedback. And I think if we were both designers and could kind of write, there'd be probably a fight for who's designing what.
Yeah, that's true.
Or vice versa.
We're equally committed, which I mean that word in all possible ways, equally committed to a certain level of OCD about our respective fields.
Yeah.
Neither of us are sloppy when it comes to that, even if we have different personalities in some ways, but in other ways we're right on track.
Find someone who you are okay texting at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And we'll text you back.
Find someone that wants to make something great.
Yeah.
That wants to make something of real quality, and doesn't want to phone it in. And that's not, that's going to be a big headache sometimes, but you want to be proud of what you make at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to open the magazine and it's, top 10 fitness trends this season, or top 10 bikini bodies
Pickleball.
or something. Top 10 pickleball paddles you could buy this season. I don't want that.
We don't like pickleball.
Want to be proud of what we
didn't get
make.
that.
So, if they are on track for that, then that'd be the most important thing.
We're out of the hot seat now?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.